Good afternoon to everyone. So we are going to begin with our teaching, and I will read the text first. So Kampo's reading just now finished halfway down the page number 8 in the booklets. So this morning we discussed how when we encounter sufferings of all different kinds, if we think, oh, I don't want this suffering, it's harming me, I wish it away, then the suffering will only increase and grow stronger.
Tanti no panda ngarang la tini mugu pare mi jamba cholan dindi yong mundu ngarang chikpo la yong ndu tini ngarang la tini dindi no pa yong go jimsen kari na samban rawo dindi go samlo mambo tang dena tini sem ko thola dumur cheche chechin ro ndu.
So regardless of what kind of suffering it is that we encounter, or what kind of harm it is we encounter, I should just say that I've been translating this word as harm all this morning, but it can include things like disturbances and disruptions and things like this too. In any case, if when these things happen, we think to ourselves, it's so unfair, why is this happening to others, why am I the only one it's happening to, why is it happening? If we think in this way, then the suffering only becomes stronger.
Teni ngacho la no pan ramanda teni yong ikapse teni ngacho no pati tola yang samlo tang teni shi dena teni tela gupa yo mares ti gupa ti phanto jik menduz yo mares.
If when harm strikes or arises, we think about it over and over again, this has no benefit or purpose whatsoever.
There's
no purpose or use whatsoever in thinking about the suffering over and over again. If the harm or problem that we are facing is one that we are able to change, then we should go about doing so, in which case there's not much point in thinking over and over about it and causing ourselves suffering.
Suso rang la teni kable mambo jamne suso rang la teni simsir o mambo teni zo jigna te guba jiang menduzi.
So rather than thinking over and over about the suffering that this harm is causing us, or the way in which we are being harmed, it would be better to find a way or a method of actually going about solving it. This would be preferable rather than causing ourselves a lot of difficulty at the level of our minds, causing ourselves worries, etc. This has no use whatsoever.
These days,
all over the world, depression is a very serious illness.
And
in America, it's a very great problem. And this is how it develops. It begins with a very small kind of issue.
Teni tonda chonchon te la teni sosorang ka samlo mambo tang ne teni yar kale teni dong ko thola natun chimbo teni mai na soso sim ga na la pe natun chimbo rin do yores.
It starts off with something that is actually quite small or insignificant, but through a person constantly thinking and dwelling on it, then even though in actual fact it's not a big issue or problem, it takes on increasingly large proportions.
Teni tongser ka nan ra boyen na tambo ne nga cho zabza mapshi na teni sim ka na la teni tongser ka na te yargi te zan ro chari jini So
regardless of whether it's in the case of depression or just more generally, it's very important that we exercise care at the beginning, because after this way of thinking develops or takes hold, then it's very difficult to control. And just like this, all over the world, many mental illnesses are becoming prolific. And in particular, in countries with developed economies, these kinds of mental illnesses are becoming very serious indeed. Prior to having a robust economic foundation, our suffering or our difficulties primarily exist at the level of our livelihoods, and in order to address them, we work really hard, we exert a lot of energy, we expend a lot of worry. After we have materially developed, however, then our material development becomes the cause of a lot of suffering and worry. There's a professor from an American university who wrote a book about happiness in life, or a happy life. You might know it. The name of this book is The History of Happiness. The author of this book is Campbell thinks the name is something like Martin Mahoney. He doesn't know if anyone has heard of this book. If anyone has read the book, please raise their hand.
No. Oh, yeah. Teni tepti nala teni lorji teni ngaso mi teni deske kola jimjik mambo che ores.
So this book is based on a lot of research into human happiness.
Terry
McMahon. Derek McMahon. Yes. Have you read the book?
No. Oh yeah.
Ko di drawi tola Google na lo ko mung se so.
Teni koranga lo chik nangla teni lo chik tiso teni rambo tangne tribares tepta.
So he spent 6 years writing this book.
Teni lo ji thola teni jimjik mambo che yores.
And did a lot of historical research.
Teni koranga tep ko teni tepti nala koranga samlo te teni tepti teni yike 데마 지마티 나라요 그래서 데마 치 타마티 나라요 그래서
Kokusamlo, Ruba.
아 그런 건 직dum라고 돼.
Let's see. And his conclusion appears on the very final page of the book.
야. 드니 그런 거 제나 다디 나초드니 다 나초 고슬라온라고 신이샤나 나초 데스킷 제야티 다티 딱버 진더 나초 드니 셈거나라 레와 잡야 든지거스레지 자 상상 当中是这样子呢
Let's say. In simple terms, what he concluded was that happiness is something that we constantly imagine in our minds.
무조건 좋아 나라다 요바스 말해서
But it doesn't exist in reality in our lives.
다트니 인디다 가버리지 무조건 나라메나
So this is really quite difficult if it doesn't really exist in our lives.
무조 좋아가 나라 데스킷 쉐당 문이잖아요 요요하레스
In actual fact, happiness does exist in our real lives.
이나 가서더니 데스킷 때 가서더니 접설 때 약보즈 마시나 때문에 가버려서
However, if we don't properly know the way for achieving it or attaining it, then we are in a spot of bother.
때 김선대 가르잖아 때 가춘 초아가 나라 되니 등을 망보진도지
In our lives, there is a great deal of suffering.
되니 때서 약보즈 탁주시 시나 되니 가춘 초아가 나라야 데스킷 요나 초코레
And if we're able to go about solving or addressing this suffering, then it's possible for us to have happiness.
디나 가서더니 디 등을 망보요나 때서 par 탁주시야가 탑시 약보즈 메나 되니 운이 초아가 나라 데스킷지야데 베카보레
However, if we don't properly understand the methods for eliminating happiness, then it's very difficult for us to achieve happiness in our lives.
다든지 인디더니 가서더니 디 초아가 나라 슝이 등을 때서 탐시보 par 탁주시야가 탑시데 약보 신고근도지
So it's really important that we properly learn the methods for resolving suffering in our lives.
다든지 인디더니 가서 때 다리 가서 공라 샤송 되니 가서 밤줄 메비 값은 되니 밤줄 그 치했더니 등을만 보고 되니 밤줄 요 차위 지니는 양 밤줄 라테니 등을만 보용 된디 시대나 당 가서 뭐치 셔당 합배 통통을 디나라 당 오늘 전에 데키지야데 남요래 밤줄 메비 내거브레다 야나 밤줄 요비 내거브레 가레제나 당 오늘 제고나 데서 가본다고 그래서
So if, as we said before we have achieved or prior to achieving material wealth, we incur a lot of suffering in striving for it, then after we actually achieve it, our material wealth then brings us a lot of suffering. So when, if this is the case, do we actually enjoy happiness? Our human lives are relatively short. Can we say that we enjoy happiness prior to becoming rich, after becoming rich? It's very difficult to say.
Tene te nga chon nang chu ko tene nang la tene woma jigya wa. Ozea ti nang la tene song yo res woma jigya ba.
And this is addressed in the 400 Madhyamika verses, a Buddhist text.
Tene nga chu shusuk ko nang la yongken ko tene ramban thumbo mo 도소이나 때 고소라 빼나 밤줄 그 강한다 든지요 말이다 드니 셈톡고 등머때 망보요레 송요레
In this text, it talks about how those of high status in society may not have worries or suffering that derive from material causes, but they have a lot of mental suffering.
드니 가서 수속고 나라 용큰 그 드니 럼바 마무 뭐 소라나 드니 소도 드니 밤줄 그다 소화가 돌아 갑리 용니 And it
talks about how those with a low position in society largely experience suffering which stems from their livelihoods, and they have a lot of physical suffering. So in society, there are people of all different levels and statuses and different levels of suffering too. A lot of our suffering is produced by our minds.
어떤지 인디 되니 당아서 티값스 다리 공락 샤바진데 등을 조스르드 간지레제나 되니 돈닥 촌촌 된지라 되니 셈고 때라 삼로탕네 되니 칼레 등을도 야르진로 온도.
And as we looked at before, the way that suffering is produced by taking a small instance of suffering and thinking about it over and over and making it into a large suffering.
되니 ngacho benam sowa ganala ngacho mi jamba gatini sosola tini chu tini tangdin mayem ba tini jamnyum mayem ba tini kaja shenandra leka lenandra yangna tini ta ngacho chu tini donchen dondak tini ta chapi kapsu tini ngacho susu khemla yong chawi jini ti tontela yang kir samlo tang tini shedena tini kale sem ganala tini sim ganala ta korang ngaso sim ganala tini korang nat jawo tini ren ro ndos
Net drawo zena detang ma imbi drawo den roba.
nat sim ganat
Ola say. Roba.
sim ganat chin
So if someone else does something or says something of an unjust or unequal nature, then, or if we encounter some kind of incident like this, then when after we come home and we think about what happened over and over, we turn it over and over in our minds, then it becomes in a way like a sickness of our mind.
tini ti kapsen nat jawo tini re chawi jini tini ngaso chanjimshi gona chanjimshi matapa tini ren ro ndos.
And after it has reached the level of a sickness, then it's very difficult for us to control it.
Tindi yendi ngacho namjini na pe na ngacho suso rangla te yondan rawo tindi yona tini muzamba tini yondan mesa rawo tindi yona tini ngacho tini muzamba te lam thongchong rawo ta chinyepchun rawo tindi shenkan ga moyores.
And there are people, perhaps educated people, who, when they encounter people who are less educated, look down on them and disparage them.
Tini ngacho mula tini nyepchu shewa ta mulam thongchong te she nyang ga menduze gangre lam thongchong she go zina soso rang ga sem ga na la tini nopa shona nopa te lam thongchong she go reze nopa te la nyepchu she go reze tini nopa te lam thongchong she na tini ko kale mar tini jechong ro ndo yar yarjin ro thap ga menduze.
But we should by no means belittle or disparage other people. The things that we should belittle and disparage are the harms in our mind, our sense of suffering. And by disparaging or belittling them, they will cease to increase in their proportion.
Ta tindi ngacho lagling ga thola kan che go ndu zena pe na ngacho mi jamba ga tini kaja ya po ma shi an rawo ta leka ya po ma le an rawo nda tindi ga top ko yin nam dor na jimsun kang yin nan ja gantar ngacho sem ga na la marga wa tindi shong i kaps no pa tindi shong i kaps tini ti kaps tini ngacho lamsang ha ko go ta ngarang de la tini yang kir te la samlo tan nan juk mare ti ton te tini ta da ngacho nge yang ni yang de te la samlo tan na te sem ga na la mambo samna tin juk mundu samne tini sem ga na la te masam ba she go ndo.
So how we go about implementing this in practice is if someone says something to us or does something that displeases us, whatever it might be, immediately we need to tell ourselves that we can't think about this. We shouldn't think about this over and over again. It is not okay to continually keep this in our minds and turn it over.
Tani pe jana kandi rezena pe na kipa zena tani bume ke lita tasola tani samlo mambo tang tani bume zena yang tani kipa ga lipota tasola tani shapa jab samlo mambo tang tani she dena sem ga nala tani ta ndochak rangshi ke tani te keyong gore tani samlo mambo tang dena ndochak mar gak gona gak thap ka mare ze.
So an example would be a man thinking a great deal about a female's body, or a female thinking a great deal about a man's body. And if this were to be the case, either of them were to continually think in this way, desire would naturally arise. And in continuing to think like this, it would be very difficult to stop that arising of desire.
Teni yerdang yang tedang chikbaren those kongcho.
And it's the same with anger as well.
Teni pe jana ngarang terang mi chik teni ngarang la teni nyipchu teni she sona teni ngarang te la samlo tang o koranga nga kajayak bola masong teni koranga nga leka dik bole song teni samne te yangkir san dena teni nga su sem gana la kongcho te yar che ro those.
If today, for example, someone was to say something to disparage or insult me or to do something with this effect, then if afterwards I were to think about it over and over again, then my anger would only grow stronger. Of course, understanding this in principle is relatively easy.
Ina tini nga so ta lagling ka tola o ngarang ta te samlo tanyang ka mare nge sam ka man par yijok tini sam na yang lagling ka tola tini le labo mare te nga so yang kir sem nang la chayong gorez.
In practice, however, it is relatively difficult for us to cast the thought aside, even though we understand it in principle. We find ourselves continually thinking about it. So in a moment like this, we need a method, a practice. Regardless of what it is, if we lack a method, then even though we might understand in theory that something is not good and that we shouldn't do it, without an actual method to put into place, then it's not possible for us to control our minds. So there are two methods that we can put into practice.
Teni chite kang rezina teni nga so teni gum gyam ni sem ka na la journey teni gomya tartan ra po na pe na nupshok la teni tambanye jak teni gum te mambo gum go yore to ti ang phan to yore tin ra po te gum ni teni samlo jamba mambo me pa shi thap kore gum ti thola teni sem par teni tan ni teni duna samlo jamba mambo mayong wa teni kork me pa teni je gre.
One of these approaches or methods is meditation, primarily calm abiding or shamatha meditation. These days in the West, mindfulness meditation is also popular too. All these are of benefit. By meditating in this way, it's possible to essentially make our thought activity relatively less, and by resting in a calm state, this has benefit for our minds.
Teni nipa te kang rezina ta nga tsu teni perna shamda nyang jin rao teni ga teni ta sim ga na la samlo kang yang ma tang wa teni ma yin ba teni samlo tang ga yore ta yin na samlo jamba tang perna sham nyang ji gong ya da ta teni ga ko te teni gom na teni nga tsu mu chi ga teni sim ga na la teni nam to ni teni tishig la yong je to yo ma re ni nyam de yong ga ma re te ma yong di nga tsu perna sham nyang jin da teni ru ko te la samlo tang na teni kongcho kya ga teni chi teni ga samlo to so kale mar jenyong ro re.
The other approach or method is meditation, meditation on objects such as love or compassion. So this is not a kind of meditation where we don't think about anything. This is where we deliberately cultivate or contemplate particular things. So it involves thought activity, but it involves thoughts of a different kind to our negative thoughts. So when we are cultivating or meditating on loving kindness and compassion, for example, because we can't be focusing on two things at the same time, as our compassion increases, our anger decreases.
Oda tindri indi yana tininga so journey gum tini sem kana la nam to kan me pashi tindri jindu yana tini shamda nyarji te mai na ta gum kana la gum mambu du tsu gum na tininga so te nam to ko sama ti to la samlo tang de ti tini soso teni marche pa tang soso no pa ta te so la samlo mambo ma tang wa tang wi kork me pa tindri ren ro di Teni sem ganala yopi sem nat ta dumar to so yargi mandro kale ko marmar teni mendro gore.
So either of these two approaches, the first shamatha or calm abiding meditation where we are aiming for no thought activity, or meditation on loving kindness and compassion, in which case we would be focusing our thought activity on these qualities. In any case, either of these two meditation approaches essentially take away the opportunity for our thoughts of suffering to increase, and as a result they decrease or subside.
Teni ti yanshu ti nga so teranga teni di chatter ka teni donsan tangbo deres. Donsan tangbo tondak tangbo deres.
So that is the first point for today.
Tangbo tondak ten dosar dana karize ndu zena teni dumur teni par o ta dogne o dumur par kwagne. So
condensing it into a nutshell, essentially what we are saying is not to resist or stop suffering. So what is being said here is not that it is preferable to be without suffering. Of course, if we don't have suffering, that's fantastic. However, after suffering has arrived, after it is there, then seeking to resist it will only make the suffering grow stronger. So the second point for today is takes us a little bit higher, or takes us a little bit further than this first point. So the second point is that harm of any kind, whether it be at the level of our minds or bodies, we should not just not resist it, but we should regard it as good. We should like suffering. We should welcome it. We should appreciate that through suffering we are able. It's possible that many people won't really understand this point so well at the beginning. The reason being, have we not just been talking about working hard to remove or reduce our suffering? If this is the case, then what do we mean by embracing suffering? Of course, no one wants suffering, but this attitude of not wanting suffering is based on a simple thought process. The reason is because when any kind of suffering occurs, whether it be mental suffering or physical suffering, the feeling or sensation of suffering is an unpleasant one.
Teni jimsan tela teni ngaso dungur mena gazi teni zege ores.
And so it's for this reason that we say it's better to be without suffering.
Teni tele jambi jimsan yo mares.
But aside from this, there's no other reason.
Dungur ngaso sem go thola yona, lipo go thola yona, te chorwa te kebuz marese. Te chorwa te yabuz mare, chorwa te ngarang sim lam chopa tin rut teni zmendu. O ti jimsan ji nga dungur go meze teni zege. Jimsan ko so te teres.
The main reason that we don't wish or want suffering is because the feeling of suffering is an unpleasant one. And this is the main reason, the core reason that we do not wish for suffering.
Tini chorwa tini yit mongwa tini chorwa zipo. Tin nangla korang chorwa tini zipo zre ngaso sem go thola yona chorwa yakbo zmendu libu go thola yona chorwa yakbo zmendu. Rete te ngaso chorwa jamre. Tini chorwa ti sorwa yit mongwa ti nangla ngarang la tini jamba go panthoya tini indu mendu te nga so te samgo ya mares chigjang samlo tangga ya mares.
So aside from the fact that the immediate feeling of suffering is an unpleasant or a painful one, we give no thought whatsoever to whether in the midst of this suffering or in addition to this suffering there are other benefits for us.
Teni dungro yena korang teni chorwa teni zipo teni zire rete yena te korang chorwa zipo ti nangla yang ngaso la panthoya teni yang mangbo yores.
In actual fact, even though suffering is an unpleasant or painful feeling, there is much within it that is of benefit to us.
Teni perda ngaso teni man kashi teni thongna teni korang jowa ha lepa ga teni kawo teni yores.
There are some kinds of medicine, for example, that have an extremely bitter taste.
Yena teni thong chari jila ngaso lipola ti panthok yores.
However, after having taken this medicine, it has a great benefit for our physical bodies.
Teni ti gimsen ti ngaso hako yore hako charti teni ngaso manti jowa jimbo reta mare te ngaso ta yo mares.
So it's important that we understand that to begin with. It's after having understood the benefit that medicine can bring us, we don't pay any attention to whether it tastes bitter or not.
Teni ngaso manti teni jowa jimbo yena ngarang zagem jowa teni yakbo menang zag menze teni zega mares.
We don't say, oh, if the taste is good, I'll take it, or but if the taste is bad, I won't. We don't say this.
Teni te karere zina man jowa yakbo menayang ti manti ngarang nalla teni panthok yore te yoti o tan jugundu te jowa yakbo mena kyomendu ngarang nalla panthok yona tin jugundu samni teni ngaso tangling chege yores.
And the reason for this is that regardless of how the medicine tastes, it is of benefit to our illness. And so on this basis, we are able to accept it. We think it's fine to take.
Teni ten rabo pe na ngaso libu go tokla shakju teni yang te chora yakbo yo mares.
And it's the same with operations or surgery. The feeling they produce is not good.
Yena teni te nalla teni pangu yo pi jimsenji teni ngaso yang teni te yang tanglen che yores.
But because they are of benefit to our illnesses or sicknesses, we accept them.
Pe na ngaso nat teni chapchinja teni shongi kapsu teni mamba ga teni chorangla teni nat chapchindu yena teni shakju shena shejindu pantongdu shakju shejindu zena ti kapsu ngaso shakju la gabu she yores.
If we contracted a serious illness, for example, and the doctor told us that having an operation would be of benefit to us, then we would start to like the idea of an operation.
Ti kapsu ngaso shakju shejindu ta ngarang shakju shena changdo sare samni sim ga yores.
In that situation, we would recognize that the operation is of benefit to us and therefore like the operation.
Ti jimsen kaya ngaso jemu shini samlo tana teni 샤주 인난자 되니 알아서 오페나 되니 만 되니 조와 약보 멘켄티 인난자 코랑 소와 약보 메바디 가서 낫 등물당 식바레 소와 약보 요 말이지.
If we think about it clearly, then, if we think about it carefully, we can see that regardless of whether it's an operation or a bad tasting medicine, that bad feeling is the same as our suffering.
예나 소와 약보 마임바티 야블로라 되가서라 판토고 용켄 그때니 니바딘디 요래 되가서 하고 요 비점선진 가서 당린 시바 맞은 가서 대다가 가부시 그 요래.
But behind the immediate feeling of suffering that they produce, or underneath it, is a power of benefit. And it's because we understand this that not only do we accept these things, but we actually come to like them.
Tini 등물라요 때당 식바레제 코랑 같으니 초로와 가솔라 tini 가소보 리보다 셈고 토라 용이 초로와디 약보 말에다 옛나요 tini 초로와디 야블로라 And
it's the same with other kinds of suffering, mental suffering, physical suffering. Behind the immediate sense or feeling of suffering are many beneficial aspects or qualities. However, what they are, what lies beneath or behind this suffering, we don't understand. We haven't given it thought. So it's like little kids, after they take a spoonful of bitter tasting medicine, they immediately spit it out. And the second, then thereafter, when the children have to take medicine, they run away in the other direction. They're completely unwilling to take it. And the reason for this is that the child does not understand that the bitter medicine is of benefit to their sickness. The little child is only concerned about the taste that the medicine produces in their mouth. And for the reason that the taste is unpleasant, he or she declares that they will not take it. When physical and mental suffering takes place, we all behave just like little children. As soon as there's some kind of unpleasant feeling, we say, "Oh, I don't like that, I don't want it." If we would actually think about it more carefully, we would understand that even though the feeling suffering produces is not a good one, there are things that we need and benefit from within it. So when I said before that our reason for not wanting or not wishing for suffering is a really simplistic one, it's for this reason. Our way of thinking is just like that of a little child. When young children are born, when they have many mistaken views. There's a few of these mistaken views that we cannot change or reform for our entire lives. The reason that we're unable to change or reform these mistaken views is that we don't understand their underlying reasons or principles.
The kneeling down the Mishi Jimson the Garazan also Tinji Corkle Huso, the maybe Jimson Gires. Loso Chow.
Oh, let's say. And the reason that we don't understand the reasoning behind these mistaken views is that we haven't received the appropriate education.
Then it Tinji Corkatini the Soso the Yonanga so Shigres, Toma Shitapres.
Because if we did receive the relevant education, then everyone would know the reason or principle behind them.
Then it Dumur Latini. Tinji Tangasola Pambadang, Tinji Yoya, Tini Shison Caps, Yabos Shison Caps, Tini Dumur Yuna, Tini Ticaps, Tini also same Gonala and Jixta, Tinji maybe Matsat, or Tangara Dumur Tinji Yona, Nara Tini Korkup Yapures, and Tini Ticaps, Dumur La Gabushi Tapkores.
If we are able to understand that suffering does contain benefit, if we're able to understand this well, then when suffering does arise, not only will we not fear it, but we will look upon the suffering as a good opportunity, and on this basis we'll like it.
Then it Titolanga Jumder Tetana, Dumur Yoni Caps, Dumur Tela Tene, also Pena Lipo, Tola Navata, Dumur Tindi Yonayang, same Gonala. Or Tangara Dumur de la Tene, or Teningaran Shava Mambo's dripped up with the same Ganala Gabu Yungores.
So if we're able to train ourselves a little bit in advance, then when suffering does actually take place, we will be able to appreciate that through the suffering, for example, say some physical pain, there is much that we are able to achieve. And so for this reason, we will appreciate or like the suffering.
Then is same now Latin Gabu Yotsari Jimson tea, then in Azopena League not the potential in nothing to put on those.
And because of the liking that arises in our mind, things like physical illnesses, etc., can heal relatively quickly.
Then also same Ganala Tindi Dumur Tindi Mambo Tindi Dumurla Mando Paglo Tindi Shedena, then is same good Dumur Libo Dumur Nibo the Yotsarti, then he perna Manchushe Gona, then Yorambo Tondos.
If, on the other hand, the attitude of disliking suffering we maintain for a long time in our minds, then the suffering of both our minds and our physical bodies will be such that it will take a long time for us to be treated for our illness.
Teni same Ganala Teni Dumur Lipola Dumuriona, same Ganala Gabu Tindi Shev Jati. Teni ti same good nipatela tene perna tendi namjinina dawa kashila teni manchushe go tendi dawa teni same good nipala tene teni yerambo zankur kashi tangdo tendi jes.
So it's possible that even though we may be experiencing some kind of physical suffering, if we are able to like the suffering at the level of our minds, then on the basis of this power, an illness that might have otherwise taken several months to cure can be cured within just 1 week.
Teni ngaso namjinina ngaso kandishe geresen perna nangbazina ta komshoksum lasoran damnete komshoksum ngarang dimur yommenyen. Ngarang lila dengar yang mana, semla dengar yang mana, ngarang dewa cibo yang kozini, nambi ngaso tadi sondip cegeres.
Usually, as Buddhists, our approach is to pray to the 3 jewels, pray that we may not experience suffering, that we may not experience physical suffering or mental suffering, that we may have happiness. This is our accustomed way of practicing.
Teni ngaso jungder jene teni nipatet yobi kapsa dungmer tanglin cheyaga nipatet yobi kapsa teni sondip kandi chegzina teni dogshok gone sondip che ta komshoksum lama komshoksum ngarang la dungmer thongshok ngarang la teni lig thola dungmer thongshok ngarang sem go thola dungmer thongshok ngarang dungmer tet yo na tela teni nga yarjin ro ndu teni zeni sondip chegres.
However, once our training in accepting suffering progresses and our ability to do so increases, then the manner in which we pray becomes the reverse. We start to pray to the three jewels to send us suffering, deliver us suffering, give me suffering of the mind, give me suffering of the body, because if I have some suffering, then I have an opportunity to improve myself.
어다 딘디 인딩 아소더니 딘디 sem 그 돈이 딘디 땅는 시 탑나 드니 등물 강디 등물 침보에 나더니 람상 드니 소소라 노바 메바 딘디 착한도지.
If we have the capacity to accept it in our minds, then regardless of what kind of suffering it is, the harm associated with it disappears.
야, 드니 땅아소야 다우나 등물 라더니 연든 딘디 요나 등물라 연든 가리요래 드니 등물을 깡아솔라 판바 간린두 제나 드니 따띵 아주 시공도.
So if we say that suffering does have positive or beneficial aspects, then we need to know what they are.
드니 디 나랑 아소 드니 등물 거드니 아솔라 드니 판바 요처 드니 돈선 등그고니 드니 쉐요레지 판바 든 셴두스.
So in terms of the benefit that suffering brings us, we can divide this into 7 points. And I'll introduce each of these points one by one.
Jimena shir tam ketan dana dungar laptini payundo tang the tao top to yoto jipa zamjing mount the samjang namkatang the saji war yang jipartar soni gupan kaositina reji dungar latini ngimjung ko samba jangana sitini ta tangbo ngaso dungar latini ngimjung ko samba zia tetini kegrez.
So first of all, it is possible by means of suffering to cultivate an attitude of renunciation. Renunciation for a Buddhist practitioner is extremely important. And is in fact the foundation of Buddhist practice. Without a good foundation in renunciation, it's not possible for us to practice well.
Teni tangbo nga so teni dungar mambo teni ndu sambata teni nonshik ta dungar ta soso rang teni soa na la dungar kari ona to so la samlo tani ta nga so teni dinang la ngune teni dungar mambo nduk sambati shigo nduze.
So in cultivating renunciation, firstly, what we need to do is recognize that in human life there is a great deal of suffering, pressure, in whatever forms. So we need to really think about this carefully and arrive at a recognition that there is much suffering in human life.
Teni dungar teso yopate teni hako sawi jini teni ngarang dungar teso sama teni 메바시네 탁주치네 다가서 뭐 파르와 등거라고 딘디 마임 바더니 등거 때딱 담주보 파르더니 탁주치고 온데서 배나가서 길가 난 치지 딘디 몽보 요레데 또 담주보 파르 탁주치고 온데 삼비 삼바 데라 다니 데 님종제 그래서.
So in coming to an understanding of this suffering, not just ordinary sufferings, but the sufferings of cyclic existence, including birth, aging, sickness, and death, in determining to end this suffering or be free from this suffering, this is what we refer to as renunciation.
Teni dungar katini nopa shithapko mare mato shithapko mar mato karti ngara nyamli yakpo mena teni dungar ndaso teni dungar mambondu di dungar ndaso pe samala kable hale baga teni chimbo yongore esamni teni samgo res.
And we need to further think to ourselves that it's only if I am or become a good practitioner that these forms of suffering won't harm me. If not, they will cause me a great deal of difficulty and bother.
Tani nga penda nga so tartanda boyo na tani muli ndinji lonyo re ta te shita nga so nangchu na la yana muzeati tani ta simchen sama nani tani choa tani tishu deres tani lechitang damba chi lechitang damba deres chi karo zambo deres.
Currently, we all enjoy a human rebirth, and in Buddhism, a human rebirth is considered the happiest among all beings, or rather the best opportunity.
Tani yinayang tarum milayang tani tan tani soso la tani yang mendo patang nawa tang tani semtola yinna dungna ma nasok tani mambores.
However, in human existences, there is still a lot of suffering and other things that we wish wouldn't happen.
Ngaso lorji ga tola sanlo tang ba yana zambalang ga sharda nabta lorji kang ga tola yana mir ki lorji zena parchere tini te janchik lorji dawo tendri rendu nduwas.
Janjak sana? Janjak lorji sana?
Janchik ye janjang.
Oh, janjang? Chise?
Janjang.
Lorji khande jire kambola.
Janjang ye janjang sana ja janjang sana jagi goje.
Yaru.
Tapsut.
Oh, tapsut, let's say. Okay. If we think of history, whether it be the history of the East or West, the history of humans is largely one of conflict.
Tani ta tesu korte la tini samlo tana tini mina la lorji chesani samlo tana tini dungur ka namjang tini mambo yung kanduz.
So if we think of history in broad terms, there is a great deal of suffering.
Tani yang chongchong soso mi gir kan soa ang nala samlo tana yang mi lipo thola re tani sem ka thola re kang ka thola yenna tani dungur mambo yung kanduz jipcha ka samlo tana.
And if we think in terms of individual lives, then there is also a lot of suffering, physical suffering, mental suffering.
Tani ti indi tani pena ngarang ngatsu pena nangchu shapanda shini kewa shima tang tini kewa shima kabina kardi nga tartan rapu lipun dendisi yenna tani ngarang tini dungar mambo yongsare tini samgares.
And in Buddhist terms, if we project ahead to our future lives, we should think that if we attain a body like our present one in our next life, then we will encounter a lot of suffering.
Tendri indi tini ta ngarang korwa nani tarwa topgo ndu sambi samlo di shik trabo yongres.
And by thinking in this way, a very strong inclination to be free from samsara will arise.
Ngatsu nang di bog tini nangchu nangla tani di bumi ta dripa thumkin nam ko pe halipa tini ang tambo chiyores.
In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition was a female practitioner of unparalleled realization.
Tani tambo ko kandi tini dripa thum songse na tani korang ga lila tani nat tani mze nat shongbaresi ma fongpi.
That's it. And the way that she achieved her realization was through first contracting a terrible illness, leprosy.
Tani mze nat te shongwe kapsa tani ti kapsa tani ti nat te
And in those days, there wasn't any means or way for curing leprosy. And many people in those days used to think that living together with leprosy sufferers would make them catch it, so they expelled them from villages. But in this case, this female practitioner, upon being expelled from her village, became a practitioner.
Teni nyamlin chi ni teni ta jima khorang teni trapathup ni teni pe teni trapthup teni re songs.
And she gradually became a very accomplished yogini.
Teni te dungur la teni shong bares.
And she achieved this by means of or in reliance on suffering.
Karti khorang la teni nat ki dungur teni te mena teni khorang shirtang ko pome chigre te ma tho che o mares.
If she had not suffered her disease, then she just would have been an ordinary woman.
Teni dungur la teni nyamlin chi ni teni khorang trapathup bares.
It was through her suffering and practicing through her suffering that she attained her great realization.
Teni yang mukhashi ga na la teni ga napa teni pe na enza ga napa teni dus.
And then there are other people today who have illnesses such as AIDS.
Teni enza ga na te khorang la yopa teni shichawi jini tambo khorang teni semga na la pe dungur mambo yong dus.
And very often when people first discover that they have AIDS, they feel a great deal of suffering in their minds.
Teni me jamba ga teni te khorang la teni samlo go lotun da po shine o te kyong ga mare na khorang ga teni enza ga na yongken teni ga mo jamba chola sham nyang ji yak bo chi gum khosola roba ji da teni khorang yak bo yong gore jeni teni labares.
But there are cases when others give them advice and tell them not to worry, that even though, or now because they are AIDS sufferers, they are able to meditate on loving kindness and compassion and be of great benefit to others.
Teni jila khorang teni enza ga teni nat yongken tang teni nat yongken to sola roba mambo shini teni jampan ga leka teni lendos.
And thereafter, it's possible for people like these to be of great benefit and work for the great benefit of other people who suffer AIDS.
Teni tindi jimsinji khorang ga matse ga lama da pe ton dang dang ba tindi resong.
And because of this, the rest of their lives can become full of meaning.
Teni khorang ga matse tindi ton dang dang ba tindi re teni khorang sem kham la yong teni mi jambala roba yak bo she thawya te teni hakwi jini khorang ga semkham la yang teni kebo shong ne teni nat ke yang teni no pa chimbo shong yo mares.
And with their life becoming full of meaning, their minds also become very happy through knowing that their work is benefiting others, and this happiness prevents their illness from getting worse.
Teni dumur te teni ngacho la teni no pa renjo yo ta yana ngacho la phamba renjo yo ti ngacho go sim la raglendos.
Whether or not suffering harms our minds or benefits our minds is determined by the mind.
Te khashila teni lig thoda sem go thola dumur shong kaps teni sem na la dumur mambo sagne teni makashin ro yores.
There are some people, when mental or physical suffering takes place, it really destroys them.
Teni khashila teni te lida sem go thola dumur shong kaps teni khorang go dumur tanglen yak bo shini dumur te la teni khorang go matse la teli jang yar jin ro yores.
And there are others, when encountering mental or physical suffering, through accepting it and by means of suffering, by means of this suffering, are able to improve their lives.
Teni dumur ke teni ngacho matse yarje tangayo ta yana ngacho matse cholak tangayo te ngacho susu sem la takandos.
Whether or not suffering destroys our lives or improves our lives is completely reliant on our minds.
Teni te ngacho dumur te tangling yakbo shida mashila takres.
And rests or hinges entirely on whether or not we are able to accept suffering.
Tendi yendi ngacho nimjung ko samba ze ya te pe na ngacho ti nangchula teni lojong shenken maimba tendi ko muzina te jikar chimbo ziji mares.
So for non-Buddhists or non-Buddhist practitioners, the attitude of renunciation, cultivating it, is not considered important.
Teni nangchula teni nyamlin chenken yenna tari nimjong za te pe kar chimbo res.
But for a Buddhist, then, just as we were talking about before, renunciation is extremely important.
Teni tendi nimjong te ngacho dumur soso sem ko thola lipo ko thola dumur tendi yona 때 레라보 그때니 님종데 깨그레스.
So when suffering takes place, whether it be mental or physical suffering, it is very easy for us to generate a mind of renunciation.
때니 나초 가레제나데 나초 소소 랑거 랑라 때니 골골 망보 땅거요레스.
In general, we do engage in a lot of self-deception.
때니 좀바보당 나초 좀 점근다. 때니 양때 지 때니가 미 망보가 양 때니 다 나초 양지 다 따스르 때니 양 딱바 마임 반다고 때니가 때니 양 삼로 망보 때니 양 파르샤거요레스.
네, 김진 야포고 마송 카불라.
좀바보
아, 네.
좀바보다 때니 때니 고르디양 때니 데 나초라 때니 머세가 때니 따스르 약보 마임 바 때니 망보 샤거요레스.
And authors and many writers produced writing with chizadini datso yapumimbi.
따스르 약보 마임 바 제다 때니 녜샤요.
Produced work with views that are not good or constructive.
때니 페르나 간디즈레제나 때니 나초 다 머신디 나라 나초 때니 남긴 등을 망보 때니 차거요레다 인나양 나초 남긴 때니 다 등근 찾나 디 올라 때니 마홍 발라 때니 약보 요레지 때니 따따 랍고 요레지.
是
아
그렇죠. 좀바보.
다 나초 좀바보 양 제그레 스웨나 제그레 나초 머신데 따따 득보 있나 때 마홍 발라 머시 데치 땅담바 인 머시지랑 초아지기도 할리바가 데치 땅담바 약보 때니 인지니 머망보 때니 랍그레지.
And what they often write or what they often tell us is that even though we might be suffering at the moment, our future lives are going to be full of happiness.
이나 가서 정무시나 되니 가서 되니 샘컴 그 돈이 약부 열주야 마타나 되니 머세야 돼 된지 빼대기 담바 된지 말이지.
However, to tell the honest truth, if we are not able to make changes at the level of our mind, it is not possible for us to have happiness in our lives.
다리 공나 되니 아메리카 같으니 달호자치 뭐 gergen 치고 로트글라 짐주시니 샤송정에 샤송아 디나라 샤반자오레스.
What I am saying here is similar to what the professor who wrote the book based on 6 years of research about happiness had to say.
이나다 가서서서 랑거티니 샘컴고 돈이 절주 약보 잡던 나무니 전에 뭐지 데치 땅담바 마임바티 데치 땅담바 gertum 그레스.
However, if one is able to make changes at the level of one's mind, then it is possible to make one's life happy.
어떤지 인디다 가서 베나 낭출라 로종 신근이 나는 되니 등을라 되니 임종께 그래. 되니 낭출라 되니 따바 머신근이 나 등을라 되니 되니 소소 랑가 뭐지 ren당당담바 되니 렌도 도제.
So for a Buddhist or Buddhist practitioner, it is possible to use suffering to train in renunciation. For a non-Buddhist practitioner, it is also possible to use suffering to make one's life more full of value and worth.
되니 소소랑 되니 우스 되니 등을 망보당 찾니 리그 토라 등을 샘고 토라 등을 망보든지 차피 값스 되니 따조 가서 신이 되니 가서 멋세야 돼 된지가 베나 뭐잠반 남고 되니 샤반라고 된지 약보 된지 되겠다 담바리 만두 디나라 등을 망본드 삼바디니 코랑 냠뇽거 신로요레스.
When we really and truly encounter suffering in our life, then we can realize through our own experience that these lives of ours are not as others describe them, full of happiness. In actual fact, there is a great deal of suffering. So actually encountering suffering oneself enables one to recognize this through experience.
등을 딘지 그때니 텔라 때니 때니 다 단데디 등을 망보다 담바든지 연디 당아랑 타르바토나 가는데 삼니데 거랑 냠림시 그래.
And encountering suffering like this, one determines to be free from this suffering, to be liberated from this suffering, and then goes about practice.
내가 저더니 보거나라더니 할레바가 이 접접 되니 치슈식데 가르즈나 집좀 몰라리 빠져야 되리데 참아하고 그랬어.
In Tibetan Buddhism, the greatest yogi is considered to be Milarepa. This is something that everyone no doubt knows.
Then Korang tinti triptore do Jimson Sherezina, then Koranga Akata Ane, the so then in Jamyum Mayim Bag, then it tindiga or Shawat in the Mambo Leni, then it tela tini, a Koranga Tara Dimni, then it Tara Tosumares.
And the reason that he became such a highly realized yogi was that his family members didn't treat him well. And as a result of this, he then went to practice and eventually achieved great realization. So all of these cases arose from suffering. And through the power of suffering, and demonstrate the power of suffering.
Teni nga so pena man thona lipol nat me pa chakayori ti jimsin ki nga so yabot sigayori as.
So in terms of medicine, because it is able to cure our illnesses, we consider it good.
Teni dumri yang ta nga so teni tendi chini ta tangni yabo shi shina teni tela teni nga so khorwa na ne thara thobya ra tendi yung go yores.
And in the same way, suffering, if we properly know how to go about accepting it, enables us to achieve liberation from cyclic existence.
Teni nga so nyamlin tsawa ne me teni dumur ko la teni tangling sia ga teni slojung she mamnyung teni jongder she mamnyung nyamlin she mamnyung I kaps teni nga so dumur la ha le pa chakne ta ngarang la dumur me ba dumur yung menyen samne teni nga so sama teni sam go yores.
So if we are not practitioners or prior to being practitioners, that is in the case of someone who has no prior study or practice or training in accepting suffering, then when suffering arises, one feels great fear and wishes very strongly that the suffering go away.
The ina nga chon dinji ge nyamlin te zio jongder te zio chari jini ni ngone tane dingmer te zio na pe yagbores.
However, after we've done a bit of training in accepting suffering, then we consider it to be actually quite good if there's a bit of suffering.
Yena dingmer chembo ma ona ga gres.
Of course, it's preferable that great suffering doesn't take place.
Yeah. The
reason for this is that it's we're not able to train or prepare for great suffering. But small examples of suffering or small instances of suffering, these we are able to train with and make go away. And in the face of small sufferings, we're able to achieve victory. And on the basis of these victories, our minds become courageous. So it's really important that when small sufferings arise, that we train with them properly. Of course, if we have a life that has no suffering whatsoever, it's just pure happiness. Well, if we know how to practice well, then this is fine, this is good. We're not saying that we absolutely of necessity must have suffering. And it is possible for us to practice in a situation where there is no suffering around us. We're not saying that in Buddhism we absolutely must have a lot of suffering.
Oh yeah, yinna karte nga so yeah, yinna karte nga so dumur ti yongna yang korang yongna te partini yang jondurchia ga tini korkbrendo ore yongna yang bores.
However, if suffering does arise, then we should take it as an opportunity for practice, in which case suffering is good.
다 되나야 다 용나 가그래 마오나 가그래지나 당아서 다 용나 안 그래 마오나 안 그래 삼바라고 던디스 고그래스.
So as to whether or not we are better with or without suffering, we should take the approach that it's fine if it takes place and it's fine if it doesn't.
다 등을 마요나 나랑 데모케보 신이 냠링치나 다 나랑 냠링치스를 열에 마요나 초코를 되는 삼고 그래서.
So we should think that it's fine if suffering doesn't arise. If it doesn't arise, we can continue with our practice.
되니 용나 껴면 등을 용나 나랑 종들시네 나랑 소소 열기 땅이 거기 약보래 대형 껴면 되니 삼고 온다서.
But at the same time, should suffering arise, good, I can use it to train, I can use it to practice, it's a good opportunity. So we should also think in this way too.
다 된지 파르샷고나 레라보레즈 카우샷고나.
Of course, again, saying this is easy.
옛날 가서 락렌체고나 대즈 종들 마시나 까까보요레즈.
However, in terms of actually practicing it without a bit of training, then it's a bit difficult.
어떠니 때 가서 네 등을 그 연단 당보들이스.
So that was the first positive aspect or quality of suffering.
되니 니바데 강레제나 되니 등을 소소란 거 돌아 등을 만보 용비 값스 되니 가서 짬주 셈거나라 짬주 약보 질라 깨운 거레스.
The second positive aspect of suffering is that when it arises, we can use it to take refuge.
되니 짬주제야다 가레제나 땅아랑 나추 약보 되니 냠슬링 고 늑 인담만당 아랑 나추 약보 냠링 고 삼바 디삼로텔라 짬주제가 요레지 다 띠나라 너 정말.
The Gyanjasuna Chokamba.
네 가서 짬주제야티 간디즈라 제거레제나 나랑랑 그 낭추디 약보 냠링시고 나랑 낭추디 되니 약보즈 냠링시고 너 삼비 삼로텔라 짬주제 그래 짬주 식당 가서 짬주라 mambo요레 띠나라 너레스.
So what do we mean then by a refuge? Well, refuge is the thought or the resolve to really practice Buddhism well. The thought, I really need and want to practice Buddhism. This thought in itself includes refuge. Often we explain refuge in many different ways, but this thought in itself encompasses refuge.
되니 디 가스더니 당가서 딘디고 삼로도 용 짐승 강레제나 되니 소소 리포 토라 등을 용 셈거 토라 되니 등을 mambo 용비 값스 되니 가서 뭐 잠바 토라 딘디 등을 mambo 요바데 가서 시용 거래.
And the reason why this thought comes strongly to us at this point is that when we experience suffering in our minds or in our physical bodies, we perceive very readily that this is the case for others too.
다 남긴이 나페나 베이잖아 가서 소소 랑라더니 즈보 대탕 딘디 옛날 나 지직 나지메 딘디 옛날 딘이 뭐 나빠서 등을 대간리인 하고 말해서.
Under ordinary circumstances, when we are healthy and in a state of free from sickness, our understanding of the suffering of others' sickness does not come easily.
되니 페나 소소 랑라더니 빰줄 거더니 차킨 소아가 차킨 페 약부용 식보든지 옛날 되니 미더니 쪼보 되니 월보 대소양 등물 대양 되니 간리연 되니 공큰 뇽뇽레스.
And at the same time, if we are in a situation of material wealth, our understanding of the nature of impoverished people's suffering is also is not easy.
되니 대단라 법에나 소소랑라 되니 왕차 용큰 야나 소소랑라 되니 톱탕 약보 용큰 딘디 옛나 되니 양뭐 톱탕 맨큰 냠충 거소고 되니 능물 가리연 거소고 초로와 간리연 대 약보 신 탑고 말해서.
And in exactly the same way, if for the powerful or those with very high position, it's difficult for them to gain an understanding of the life situation and sufferings of those who are meek and powerless.
되니 답에나 소소 랑가토라 되니 낫 잡고 된지 용내 된지 소나 Teni ta mitsama tini dumur te kanra yan teni ko ha sar ka tini yakpo hako yung kore.
So when an illness takes place, when we encounter an illness, it's then that we're able to gain an understanding of the suffering of others who experience illness.
Teni tinji dumur te teni hako yung kapsa teni ko orang nyamlim ko thola teni lakbar te teni baba she gres.
And in understanding this suffering, the person in question then becomes very diligent in terms of their practice.
Teni ngarang ka teni nyamlin teni jena ti nyamlin te la teni teni o teni da nge me mangbo ko teni dumur te mepa chi thap kundu ngarang ka dumur ya mepa chi thap kundu teni ngarang ka nyamlin che kundu chudrup kundu sambi teni samlo te teni ke yung gres.
And the thought or the conviction to engage in practice arises. The wish that through practice, one might go about eliminating the suffering of others as well as oneself, and an attitude of diligence towards one's practice, one's Dharma practice, arises.
Teni tindi nyamlin teni shevi kapsa teni ngaso nyamlin shena. Nyamlin la teni dumur te mepa shea she thabya ga jimsan da teni nyamnyung to so yang thawong gres.
And then the kutso gimsan da nyamnyung chis den thonyong gres.
De nyamlin shena teni nyamlin shena teni dumur sama mepa teni ndrot thabi jimsan korang ka ha koyong gres nyamnyung mombo thawong gres.
And it's kutup gogre maumbarba. And a practitioner who thinks like this will gain personal experience of the way that practice is able to eliminate suffering.
Teni ti kapsa teni samlo tana ta nga so namjini na teni nga so perna jikting perna teni wangcha da teni mangtrak da teni thopthang teni pamjur so pe karchimbo yensam nga so ha lepa teni tesu tondak chimbo zini tisu tsama titola tanga yoreze namgini na.
Under ordinary circumstances, we place great importance and invest all of our time in achieving things like worldly power, fame, wealth, position.
Tinti indi tini nga so mtsiga na la yopi dumur mangboz te nga so pamjur ko gormo tsawa ni jiji panto yo marez.
But in terms of the suffering in life, our wealth, etc., has no benefit. Power has no benefit either. And having fame is of no benefit either.
Panto yokundu mato bazen chichi panto mandu samba pes go hale patang zapo chang gres nyamnyung ko toni.
And it's possible for a practitioner to realize that the only thing that is of benefit to eliminating one's suffering is one's own practice, improving one's own mind. And it's possible through encountering suffering and practicing through it to gain a very clear appreciation of this.
Tinji indi tini ngasola dengmer lah cakne ta dengmer ngara yo menya samne ngaso par trugo yoreta ina kapse dengmer tes thola yona tini soso nyamnyung ta tini soso jongder ta soso thola pantok mambo yorese.
So even though generally we have great fear for suffering and we wish for it to stay away and so forth, in actual fact, having a little bit of suffering, gaining some experience of it, is a good opportunity for training.
Teni sem ko tola lipu ko toko na tele kyang lakban rawo tindi ko sem tola kable ta dengmer ta non shi mangbo yong ko dugse.
It's the same as if we were to have an illness and to need an operation. If we were to think, oh, I'm sick, I'm in a really bad situation, it's really not good. If we were to think like this in such a situation, then our physical ailment would only get worse.
Tini di kapsa tini ngaso la tini samlo tangsar jambaz yona te pe pantok chimbore samlo tangsar jambaz go nduze ngaso namgini na samlo tangsar o nga dungar menaga tini samgo yore samlo tangsar jambaz go nduze.
At a moment like this, we really need an alternative way of thinking to our ordinary approach of not wishing for suffering to take place.
Tindi indi tini samlo tangsar jambati tone tini samlo tang jana o ta dungar yona kyo mindu ngarang tela tini jondr shi chokore samni tindi samgo reta yena tini pe khemsar chi karizena tini tindi ngaso samlo tangsar tila jirchu jab jagna tini dungar ti main ro nduze te ngaso semtok dungar ti lamsa main ro nduze.
So this different way of thinking would be one of appreciating that suffering is an opportunity to train and improve oneself. And the very strange thing is that simply by changing our way of thinking, it's possible for us to entirely make our mental suffering disappear.
Tini pe khemsar chi karizena te ngaso o ta dungar ti yona yakboyo mari dungar ti yona ta nga Halipa moyore tindi samna gandhi samna dungar chichi ro nduze.
And the other strange phenomenon is that if we habituate ourselves to thinking that, oh no, this suffering is terrible, it's difficult, it's awful, then the suffering will just get bigger.
Teni samlo tangsar jamba shini o dungar yona kyung mare ta dungar la teni ngarang ga teni kepan yang mambo thop gore ngarang la phanto ga mambo yong gore tindi samni tini samlo tang jana te lamsang tini dumr semtok dumr sama mepa chakne karti tini tsawani mepa mare na chong ma to mepa rong doze.
However, by changing our way of thinking to a different kind, that is recognizing or thinking that it's okay that suffering is happening, it's of benefit to me, then immediately the suffering will disappear. Or even if it doesn't disappear completely, it will be diminished to a very insignificant degree. So on occasion, when suffering arises, it's able to give us a great education. And sometimes the education it's able to give us is even greater than that which our teachers and lamas are able to do.
Penangaso girgina da lama yena teni namjing songo yore o teni dungur yongore teni kan teni gore teni nyangamare teni sone mambo songo yore rete yena ngaso sosola teni nyamnyung teni mayona dungur thoti nyamnyung teni mayona ta ngaso o teni songo ndu samban raw ma to te par panhyum raw rendo yore
Chuk deni tsikjumadik
tanhyum
la say
tanhyum raw rendo gores
tanhyum
다 당심세나 파르다가 파라 유작게도.
So even though our teachers and our lamas might tell us that suffering happens, suffering will come, and they might tell us what to do and how to approach it, if we've had no experience of suffering ourselves, then all the things that they say we tend to cast aside.
Then 소소 토라 등거도 용 차디 냠뇽 거 토네 오니 틴디 젠도 다 나랑 테즈 잡잡치 고사레 나랑 테즈 티니 바빠시 고사레 삼반라오다 나랑 소소 티니 야르지 땅와 돈드 테즈 레카 레 고사레 삼반라오 티니 심땅니 용고 요레스 심거 땅니.
However, when one actually has personal experience of suffering, then one can realize, well, this is really how it is. And from this experience one generates from the bottom of one's heart a recognition of the need to be careful, to be diligent, and to work hard to make progress.
Deni terang asun dela yongken sama gdeni tanga chu dungur chimbo yona teni ngaso gabushi teni ze gona tezi khaborezi rete dumur chongchong tezi chongchong ko kortela teni chama kyun de marta da ti pantong mambo yonggen do ngaso la gorkub mambo tracken do dumur chongchong te so dumur chongchong te ngaso jongder jena shi thumkore ti jimsenji.
So everyone here today, we're not saying that if great suffering arises that you should like it. However, in terms of small suffering, we should not look upon these as a problem. We should appreciate that they are able to bring us benefit and many opportunities from the point of view that they are a chance to practice.
Teni ngaso shusok pena ngaso tarta shusok te teni partana teni ganga shogla yana teni chi yarjin raoda chi ganga shogla yana yarab raoda teni royores shusokndo.
If we look at society, then we might say that in every respect it seems to be progressing.
Teni dong tola teni nyongzang jeshi res.
Nyongzang zina?
Fuza.
Say. But in actual fact, it's only becoming more and more complicated.
Teni ninji nyongzang ka teni khori gzga nala teni ngasong la no pa shia chama me pa chini teni ngarang kepo dewe samna te tsawane yong chika mandukse.
And in such a complicated environment as this, it's not possible for us to say, oh, I'll get rid of it all entirely and then I'll be able to exist happily. This will never happen.
Teni ngaso nyongzang ka nani teni nyamlin shia nyongzang ka nani teni nyongzang la teni dewa deshki tangdamba yongya tindi tabshi samlo tango doze.
So what we need then is a way of practicing in the midst of complexity and a way of deriving happiness from this complexity.
Perna ngaso teni mi mambo yandro teni langkor mambo yandro teni dra mambo teni yosa tindi yenna teni dra mambo yosa teni nyamlin che gona teni ti dra so teni nyamlin la pe no ko yore sim tambo ya pone tab ko mareze.
Generally, if we are in a place where there's lots of people, a lot of cars, a lot of loud noises, then we aren't able to practice well. The loud sounds impact detrimentally on our practice.
Teni ti kapsa teni khori ti nangla ta ngarang japar mepa shini teni nge gomjab kenzena te yong tham ko mandus.
In an environment such as this, it would not be possible to say, I'm going to stop all the sounds, get rid of them completely so that I can practice. This would, again, never happen. In an environment or at a moment like this, what we need is a practice method that relies or makes use of the sounds.
Stichina injires in the. The Jalatini Gonja.
Oh, so it's possible that you might be able to make use of this sound in order to practice.
Jakorang Latini Gomjab Gorez.
The sound itself has to meditate.
Tedanda Oshini Natsu Kori Nyonzang Jayina, Tini Nyonzang Latini, Tini Deki Yongala Danjab Gorez.
So in exactly the same way, in a really complicated environment, we need to rely on this complexity or complicatedness to achieve happiness.
Teni korik teni nyongzang teni yo sazuka nala nyongzang sama meba shini teni ngarake po degensena te tsawani yong mercy pa teni zires.
It's not possible for us to say in such an environment that I will get rid of all this complexity and then I'll be happy. It just won't happen.
Teni sarji chomden dega teni tela gongni teni maung ba mon namla teni docha jerdang tamu teni nyomung ba pe mangbo yongore teni indi nyomung ba la teni gomjawa da nyamlin sia teni gondu gongni teni thakba chimbo da sanga so teni songbares.
And it was during the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni that, although Shakyamuni Buddha himself taught that, or projected that in the future, afflictions would only increase and that there would be a need for a practice method that relied on or made use of afflictions. And he, for this reason, gave the teachings of the Mahayana and Vajrayana vehicles.
Then also ta matsin the no pa chi jang me pa no pa chama mar me pa shini ngarang la no pa chama me pa shini chami tangni tani ngarang che po de gen sinate yung masi baren do sing.
The idea that we might completely get rid of all harm, eliminate it entirely, and then be happy is entirely impossible.
Tini ta kandi go zina no pa te khorang tini dewa ngo par jirya no pa te la tini so de chi yung ya tini ga tab chila sam no tang go yo re.
So rather what we need is a method to transform that suffering or harm into the essence of happiness.
Tini te nga so tini dumur te khorang man ta re sam ni sam no tang ya te re.
So this is what we mean by looking upon or thinking of suffering as a kind of medicine.
Tini te nga so di na la she pi tini ndi yondan ni pa te re.
So that is the second positive aspect or quality of suffering.
Tani samba de nga so ngargir me pa che ya te re ngargir mar me pa che.
And the third benefit of suffering is eliminating our pride.
Tani ngarang so perna most la tini sam lo tang ba yena tani perna ngarang la ngubu mangboyo gormo mangboyo yana tini ngarang la te top thombo rawo yo yana ngarang tini nyanjak chembo rawo yo tindi yembi kaps tini mutsola tini semkana la ngargir yone tini ta ngarang pe tini lapchin re tini ta ngarang ra pochi ge amari sambaro tindi ku samlo yongres.
So a person with a great many possessions or a lot of money, great deal of fame or position often gives rise to pride and arrogance, thinking themselves to be very mighty and that there is no one else like themselves.
Teni ngargir yong chawi jini teni ngaso teni ngargir yo chate teni ngaso yondan la lojong che mares.
And once pride has arisen, we don't study virtue.
Penangarang gandi forwan dinala tini chikang lugni kang re charndu samni tini samna tini nge samna ota kang re char song ta lug sam mandu lug go mandu samni tini sam gres.
It's the same as this cup. If I fill it with water until it's almost full, I think to myself, oh, the cup is full. There's no need for me to pour any more into it.
Tini ngargir kine ta ngarang pe lapchin re tini ngarang yagbore tini samsona tini ta nga rendu ta nga chama riksong ta nga chi go mundu samni tini lojong chega mare nyamni yang chega mare tini mi jan la khasu chegre tini rendo res.
And it's the same with pride. When we think that I'm so great, I'm so good, then one does not feel the need to do anything else, to cultivate anything else. No need for study, no need for practice, and yeah. And one is unable to perceive one's own shortcomings and faults.
Ngargir te mena ngarang ka kyundi ha ko tab kore kyundi ha ko sona perna ta ngarang dina la tarung ngarang la mandang wa te zindu tarung dina la chite zu lu go ndu ngarang kha kang menduk samba yona tini ngen dina la chik lukari tini yar kang ro re tin rapo so rang tini kyundi tini rigni ta ngarang tarung yakbore menduk tarung ngarang lojong ko la yena gang ko shok la yena nga tarung mandang wa tini mambo zindu samba ro tini yona tini ngarang ka teni babashi ni teni yondan sama yarjin ro tab grezi teni sosorang tarong dang mundu samban rawo yona.
Without pride, however, we are able to see our faults, see our shortcomings. It's like this glass of water. If it is not full, and we can appreciate that there is still some space to fill it with water, and we will pour water into it until it is full. So being able to see one's faults or perceive one's faults, one is then willing to do what is needed, whether it be study or something else, to improve oneself. Perceiving one's inadequacies has the benefit of leading one to be diligent in terms of improving them. When one gives rise to pride, we are unable to see how we really are. But when we encounter suffering, then it is possible for us to really see what kind of persons we are. So it's the same as a film actor. When they are acting, when they're on set, they're wearing the costume and the clothes of a king or a president or whatever the role may be. However, when the scene is finished, when they cease to be acting, they remove their clothes. And in doing this, they are no one. They're not a king, they're not a hero, they're not a soldier or anything like this.
Then Dummerdantanim Chadney, the Dishi on the Tinisorango, Yanker Dang Japti, then you Tangarang, Pena, Jarwuncham, Dugan champion near Kunatini, combat in the combat or into mouth of Bangarang, Rang, Tongatola, Muni Dummer the Sotam Chayon Caps, Marang Chian Tabshimadu, or Narantini, Shuloni Yartinichi, or Taju, Gurmoti, you under Pamjur, you under Tatini, one chat is you at the Su Yara. Janchapti Badawore and Dumatongaram, Nangla, Jiju Mundu, Sambandawatini, Tazo, Hagores.
But when we encounter suffering, it's possible for us to think again about who we really are. We can recognize, we can realize that beforehand we were just like people wearing costumes, adorning themselves with ornaments of various kinds. In actual fact, we have nothing at all. Perhaps externally we have money and a bit of power, but these are like ornaments. In actual fact, we have nothing inside. So this, it is possible to realize or discover through encountering suffering.
Then it Tindi Hakovi Capsitini or Tangarang Yargi Tarong Susorang Yargi Tango, the Nyamlinche go, the Samni, the Nyamlinchini, Tinicale, Caliyundan Yabuyon can reungorate.
And in realizing this, it's then possible to begin to improve oneself, to begin to practice, and through practicing to gradually improve one's qualities.
Then it Tindi Dummer Shona, Tini Sorwa, Ha Lepatinita, Nyamyung Zinanda, Sorwa Zinanda, Tang Zabu Yungores.
In times like this, the experience of suffering can be extremely profound. And it will happen for anyone, it will happen for everyone. The difference between when we are encountering suffering and when we are not encountering suffering is immense. In fact, you could say it's just like we were two different people. But all of these things are what we discover or can discover through encountering suffering.
되니 능물 그때니 가솔라 마시바 망보즈 되니 가솔라 시선 지고요래 가솔 시브르 시고요래.
And so suffering has the capacity to make us understand or know much that we don't understand and know.
되니 인디 능물 코랑 소로와 되니 약보 말이다. 옛날 코랑 그 가솔라 되니 닐그 망보 하고르시 어디니 소소 야르기 되니 또 땅지다 되니 그 코르 망보즈 짜근도지.
So even though the feeling of suffering is not a pleasant one, suffering has the capacity to make us understand a great deal and also gives us many opportunities for improving ourselves.
어떤 때 가서 능물 그들이 연든 선바들이 되니 대랑건 차트 가서 뒤통는 좋고요.
So that concludes the third positive aspect of suffering, and we are going to conclude our afternoon's teaching here.